The girls are back in town. That's right, we have a brand new team, the Absolute A-Force, and they are coming to absolutely mess up the war landscape. And if you want to know how best to build them, then join me in this video. What's going on, everyone? I'm BPG and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I make at least 2 Marvel Strike Force videos every single week, usually based around the events within the game. However, sometimes I do get time to make videos exactly like this one here. So if you find the content in this video helpful, please do consider giving it a like, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any more BPG uploads. And without further ado, let's get into this, shall we? So who are the Absolute A-Force team? Well, they are a new, I want to say, Apex war team. They are going to be the team to beat. We'll look at their kits in a moment, but they counter a hell of a lot of the current war meta. So they are the big girls in town. They are also the first new stat meta war team. Now, some people might disagree with me here and say that was Astral, but we all know Astral was designed as a Battle World stroke Raids 2 team with war just added on top of them. So I don't really class them as a team that were designed for war. They were designed for Battle World, and then war was just added so that people would really build them because Battle World's pretty arse. So this is the first new stat meta war team, and they are going to last well. I can tell you that now, because the war teams always have lasted well until the new stat meta hit, and then the older war teams, like At a Time, like Mercs for Money, they haven't fallen off, but they are going to certainly have a shorter shelf life than what previous war teams would have. Now, this is another classic Scopely. Absolute A-Force in the comics is not actually a thing. There is no such thing as Absolute A-Force. However, what they have also done in this is taken some liberties. So we have Medusa. She was a member of A-Force. We have Wasp and Ironheart. Again, both members there of A-Force. We can see that in the picture. We also have Ms. Marvel Classic, which was the original version of Carol Danvers before she was Captain Marvel. But she has always gone as Captain Marvel within the A-Force, to my knowledge. If I am incorrect, please do put a comment down below and, you know, educate me, so to speak. And the final member is Kahhori. She was a big thing from What If, which is coming back in December this year for season 3, the final season, I believe. And I believe she's also got a big part in that, and she's also just had a comic book series. She is a female, so she would naturally fit into the A-Force anyway. So let's take a look at the kits now and break them down and see how we are best going to build this team. And the first member, as I always do, is the reworks. So the first one is Wasp, formerly of Pimtech. Didn't really get a lot of love and didn't really get a lot of changes to her kit to go to the Absolute A-Force. It was more of a just stat increase. So Sting and Move, this is her basic ability. Attack the primary target for 260% damage. Chain to one adjacent target for 210% damage. Counter attack breaks this chain. The T4 on this will add an additional 40% damage to the primary and secondary targets. Now, I have put this down as a non-T4. And I'm going to explain a little bit later on in the video, bit of an FAQ on how the infographics are working for everyone. Blasters. She's going to start with, this is her special. She's going to attack the primary target for 250% damage and bonus attack 1 to 2 times for 200% damage. Apply stun to the primary target. If this character has 3 or more A-Force allies, reduce the speed bar on primary target by 30%. And in war, this attack cannot be blocked or dodged. If you upgrade this to level 7, so give it the T4, it is going to add 30% damage on all attacks. So that is going to make the first attack 280% damage and the bonus attacks 230% damage. And you are going to bonus attack 3 times rather than the 1 to 2 times. I can see the benefits of the T4. However, again, I have put this one down as a non-T4 in the infographic itself. Flight of the Wasp. Attack all enemies for 330% damage. In war, if this character has 3 or more absolute A-Force allies, this attack deals an additional plus 200% damage to all enemies. This attack cannot be counterattacked. In war, this attack cannot be blocked or dodged. And the T4 for this is going to add an additional 50% damage to all targets. And in war, if this character has 3 or more absolute A-Force allies, this attack deals an additional plus 200% damage to all enemies. Lots and lots of damage here, especially with the new stat meta. But again, this is a T4 I feel that you can leave out if you want. This is not a T4 that I would recommend to put on straight away. This is very much what I would call a luxury T4. And her passive is Shrink on spawn. She gains charged. When this character is attacked, she loses 1 charged. Gain 20% dodge chance. Gain an additional 10% dodge chance per charged. Now she can gain 3 charge, so I believe that basically that would take her up to a 50% dodge chance. In war, gain an additional 25% dodge chance per charged instead, so that could give her a 100% dodge chance. In Dark Dimension on spawn, if this character has 4 or more Pimtech allies, apply immunity for 2 turns to self and all Pimtech allies. Now, this is a shame because I would have loved to have seen this with the Absolute A-Force. So to have that maybe in war on spawn, if she has 4 or more Absolute A-Force allies, apply immunity for 2 turns to self and all Absolute A-Force allies. That would have been a great little passive part there, but didn't get that, unfortunately. And the T4 on this one is to, in war on spawn, gain 3 charged and plus 5% dodge chance. So that would be 25% dodge chance, I believe, and then the 15 or 30% dodge chance per charged. Again, a skippable or luxury T4. So this one would be a purple T3 ability material on the infographic. Now, Wasp is a hero, global tech blaster. She has the Absolute A-Force tag and the Pimtech tag. I would recommend her as a raider. That is going to get, she's got a lot of multiple target attacks, and so raider is going to give her the maximum chance to get crits out there and to do more crit damage. Now, looking at her as she would be when you get the team first unlocked, so this is going to be Wasp and Ironheart at 7 yellow, 7 red, because I'm assuming that is what you are going to have them at least, as like they are older characters. And then your new characters are at 3 yellow, 3 red. Now, I will go over some things on this when it comes to them being equal, so all at 7 yellow, 7 red. But health-wise, she is the second highest health, as you would think, because she's going to have more stars on her. Damage, she will be your main damage dealer in the early game, the early time of playing with this team. Armor, she is 3rd. Focus, she is 2nd. Resist, she is 1st. And however, speed of 112, she's actually the slowest member of the team, and that's pretty sad, really, because Wasp should be pretty quick. Now, when you get to having the full team, Wasp is possibly the first member of the team, I would say, that will get dropped for a plug and play character like maybe Ares or let's say someone like Mephisto or Odin or something similar like that. Those plug and play characters will go into this. And also, if you were going to put a member of the old A-Force team in, because That is also a ability that you can use. People are putting in people like Nico Minoru. Photon could go in there as well, even though she has had that change. You know, so Wasp is generally going to be the first person that will get swapped out in the team, and that is because when everyone is at the same level, so all at 7 yellow, 7 red, she is actually one of the worst performing members of the team. Ironheart is next. And she has prototype repulsors, attack the primary target for 260% damage, gain an assist from a random Iron Man or Kahhori ally. Absolutely awesome. The T4 on this is just a damage upgrade. It's going to add another 60% damage to the primary target, so that is going to make it 320% damage. You can guess from this, as it is just a damage upgrade, it is a luxury T4 stroke skip. Deploy flares. This one you're going to start with the special. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 300% damage. So again, lots of multiple target attacks. Reduce the speed bar of the primary and adjacent targets by 15%. Apply ability block to the primary target, and in war, this attack cannot be dodged. The T4 on this is going to add 20% damage to primary and adjacent targets, so that'll make it 320% damage, and it is going to add 5% to the reduction of the speed bar, meaning that you'll be reducing their speed bar by 20%. Initially, when I did this, I did have this down as a nice to have, but I do actually think, and I have changed it recently in the infographic, to a luxury T4. That extra 5% speed bar I don't think is going to make much of a difference, even though this is a turn-based game. 5% really isn't that much, and the 20% damage is also not a lot for a T4. Heartbreaker, this is the ultimate, going to be live 2 turns off the first turn from her. Attack all enemies for 320% damage and apply defense down for 2 turns. That's very good. In war, gain 100,000% extra focus for this attack, so that's cool. In war, this attack cannot be dodged. Brilliant. The T4 on this, 30% damage to all enemies, so that makes it 350% damage. And in war, if this character has 3 or more absolute A-Force allies, this attack deals an additional 300% damage to all enemies. Again, this is what I have put down as a luxury T4 or a T3 skip. Now, reason for this is it is just extra damage. I know attacking the enemy for 650% damage is a lot. That is a massive amount of damage, especially with the reworked stats. Completely understand that, but this is not an ability that makes Ironheart work. It's not an ability that is going to make a huge difference to the team. It is going to help, obviously, but it is not a huge difference maker. And again, later on, once I go over the frequently asked questions on the infographic, or just explain a little bit more about my thought process on it, that will be clear as to why I do what I do. Prodigy, on spawn, apply defense up for 2 turns to self and all power armor and absolute A-Force allies. Awesome. Defense up is brilliant. Gain plus 30% resist. Tech allies gain plus 30% resist. Gain 10% max health. Power armor allies gain 10% max health. Gain 10% armor. Power armor allies gain 10% armor. Now you'll see that they have not added the absolute A-Force tag to this, and this is because of the new stat meta. Ironheart's new stats would have been based on the fact that she gets that 10% max health and that 30% resistance and that 10% armor. So they haven't given the absolute A-Force allies that because they don't need it. The new stats will have, would have been put in for that. The T4 on this is to add 5% max health for self and power armor allies, 10% resistance for self and tech allies, and 5% armor for self and power armor allies. Again, I have put this down as a luxury T4 stroke T3 skip. And again, the benefits to this T4 really do not matter that much. This is a reworked character, not a brand new character. If something like 5% max health on a brand new character was around, maybe I would have put a T4 into it. But for a reworked character, I don't think it's worth it, really. Ironheart is a hero, global tech, blaster. She's got the absolute A-Force tag, the power armor tag, and the energized tag. Now, energized was a trait that we used for a blitz a little while ago. I think it was a blitz a little while ago. And that tag is still there, so no doubt that might come back around again at some point in time. For Ironheart, I would recommend again is Raider. We have lots of AoE, lots of multi-target attacks on Ironheart, so Raider is a brilliant choice for her. Looking at her as the team as you've got it when it would first come to you, so this is Ironheart at the 7 red. And the rest of the team, Ironheart and Wasp, sorry, at 7 red, and then the rest of the team at the 3 yellow, 3 red unlock. Health for Ironheart, you would guess, would be number 1. Damage is second, only just behind Wasp. Armor is first. Focus is first. Resist is first. And with a speed of 116, she is the 4th fastest member of the team. This character, though, still holds the mustard when all the team gets to 7-7. So she is a very good member of the team. I think she is a very, very good reworked character. Now on to the first of the new characters, Kahhori. Her basic is called Sky Blast, and these kits are a essay, really. Attack the primary target for 150% piercing plus 50% drain, plus 5% of the target's max health. If the primary target is a minion, attack for 30% of the target's max health instead. So doesn't do as well against minions as it. Flip 2 positive effects into negative effects on the primary target. That's really good. In war, you're going to flip all positive effects into negative effects instead. If the primary target has exposed, apply blind. That's brilliant. If the primary target has no positive effects, you're going to apply exposed. So we have a lovely exposed mechanic again. Prolong the duration of 1 positive effect on this character by 1 to a maximum of 2. When forced to attack an ally, this character deals less damage, does not flip positive effects, does not apply any negative effects, and does not apply exposed to absolute A-Force characters. This attack cannot be assisted, blocked, or counter-attacked. Now, the assisted was added in after her initial kit release because this could have been a little nutty. I know she wouldn't have been in Arena, but certainly in places like Cosmic Crucible and that, plug and play her with some of these characters that did assist now, you could have some real problems. The T4 on this one is to add an extra 50% piercing to the primary target and is going to apply +1 charge up to a maximum of 3 to the chargeable absolute A-Force ally with the most health. This will read when you are at 7 yellow, 7 red, Miss Marvel Classic. However, when you are having the team as new, this will actually be targeting Ironheart. So, well, not Ironheart, sorry. Be targeting Wasp, sorry, because she is also a chargeable absolute A-Force ally. So this is what I would call a nice to have T4. The ability is very good. The applying the charge is very good. However, you could possibly wait to add this T4 until you have your characters at 7 yellow, 7 red, or when Miss Marvel is at a higher health than what Ironheart or Wasp is currently at their 7 yellow, 7 red stats. Step of the Wind. This is essentially her turn 2 attack, but you only start with 1 pip on it, and you will see why in a second. Attack all enemies for 200% piercing and 30% drain, so she's got lots of piercing damage on her. This attack deals double damage to enemies that have safeguard. Awesome, we like that. Flip 5 positive effects into negative effects on all enemies. Apply offense down for 2 turns, heal block for 2 turns, and 2 bleed for 1 turn to all enemies. Apply exposed to all support enemies, which will then go into her basic, where she can then apply blind to them. Redistribute total health evenly between self and all absolute A-Force allies. So this is kind of like a apocalypse, like a health rebalance as well with this. And in war, this attack cannot be blocked, dodged, or counterattacked. Again, I have put this as a nice to have T4. Sorry, pause that a second. So I have put this as a high value T4. By putting the T4 on this is going to clear all barrier on all enemies. That is brilliant. We like the clearing of barrier. Plus 50% piercing to all enemies. And if an enemy does not have any positive effect, apply trauma for 2 turns to that character. This is a very, very good ability and a very high value T4. Ancient Power, this is her ultimate. It's going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 400% piercing and apply defense down for 2 turns, heal block for 2 turns, disruptive for 2 turns, and trauma for 1 turn. This attack deals double damage to enemies that have safeguard. Again, just dealing, she really hates enemies that have safeguard. You're going to fill her speed bar by 50%. And then in war, this attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked or counterattacked. The T4 on this, again, is a high value T4. Plus 100% piercing to primary and adjacent targets. Apply trauma for 2 turns rather than the 1 turn. And an additional plus 50% speed bar. So that is going to get her to have another turn after doing this Ancient Power, because she's going to have that 100% speed bar. New World Protector, this is her passive, and this passive is an essential. This is what makes her so good. On spawn, after all other characters on spawn effects, fill speed bar for self by 100%. So on spawn, after everyone else has done everything, she's going to get a turn. Attack the enemy controller with the highest focus for 200% piercing and apply exposed. While this character's health is above 50%, this character cannot gain slow. The focus and damage of this character can only be reduced by offense down. It's amazing. Enemies with exposed in war cannot gain stealth or charged. This does not prevent prolonging the duration of effects already on the target. In war, cannot barrier themselves or their enemies. In war, have their assist chance lowered by 100% and have their revive chance lowered by 100%. So if you have exposed, you're not coming back from a attack. If Kahhori is on the field. In war, if you've got exposed, you're not assisting. You can't barrier yourself. This is huge. This basically shuts down Old Man Logan. This is basically a great big screw you, Old Man Logan. The T4 on this, which I said is essential, is going to fill the speed bar by another 100%. So you're going to get a 200% speed bar fill, which gives you 2 turns on the bounce without anyone coming back at you. Plus 150% piercing, so that is going to do the 350% piercing to the enemy controller with the highest focus. And then in war, if this character has 4 or more absolute A-Force allies, now this is why you might not break the team up and put a plug and play in. Enemies with exposed cannot fill speed bar for themselves or allies. This is the biggest FU to Old Man Logan ever. Can't fill his speed bar for themselves or allies, so that means that if any of your characters also go into stealth, Dakan can't fill his speed bar. This is made to beat Mercs for money on defense in high-end war. Kahhori is a hero. She's cosmic, mystic, controller, absolute A-force. Do that again. Kahhori is a hero, cosmic, mystic, controller with the absolute A-force tag. Now, the ISO 8 recommendation I would make for her in the team is striker. So this is when she is part of the absolute A-force team, I would have her as a striker. However, outside of the absolute A-force team in war, maybe in sort of Cosmic Crucible or somewhere like that, where you might use her as a plug-and-play character, I would possibly use her as a skirmisher. And this is just to get those vulnerables out early, especially if you're dealing with someone that can, you know, do striker attack later on. Now, when she is at her 3 yellow, 3 red with the whole team, when you first unlock her, she is going to be 4th in health. Okay, cool. She's going to be 3rd in damage. That's really impressive for a new character. Armor, she is 4th. Focus, she is 3rd. Resist, she is 4th. And with a speed of 122, she is the fastest member of the team. And with that 200% speed bar increase for having her passive T-Ford, she is just a speed demon. I'm really, really looking forward to getting her unlocked. I am going to be spending power cores on her. She will be probably the only member of the team that I do spend power cores on, but she is well worth your core Oris. Anyway, moving on to the next character, which is Miss Marvel Classic. Now, I am well chuffed that they have brought this version of Carol Danvers into the game. This is her before her the Marvel phase, when she was Ms. Marvel Classic Carol Danvers. You know. And her first ability, her basic, is Classic Beatdown. Attack the primary target for 200% damage. Apply a defense up and regeneration to the most injured absolute A-Force ally that doesn't have defense up. In war, heal self and all absolute A-Force allies for 10% of this character's max health. And her max health when she is at 7 yellow, 7 red is huge. If this character has 2 or fewer charged, gain +3 charged up to a maximum of 3. The T4 on this is going to add an extra 100% damage to the primary target, so making that 300% damage. However, again, this one I have put down as a skip stroke T3, or you could say a luxury T4. Flying free, this is her special. She's going to start with this one. Attack the primary and adjacent targets for 250% damage plus 20% drain. She's going to heal self and all A-Force allies for 30% of this character's max health, plus apply evade and 2 regeneration. And in war, this attack cannot be blocked or dodged. The T4 on this is going to do an extra 100% damage to the primary and adjacent targets and apply 2 evades. I've put this down as a nice to have T4. Those extra evades are good. The damage is okay, but as this is an opening ability and adding those evades, especially to people like Wasp who've got that dodge chance already as well, so having that guaranteed dodge, you know, it's going to make Wasp really, really good. So this is a nice to have T4. Close the distance. This is her ultimate. Attack the primary target for 400% damage, plus apply defense down for 2 turns and heal block for 2 turns. This damage is increased by 50% per charged on this character. She's going to clear all negative effects from self and all allies. So there's your cleansing going on. She's going to heal self and all absolute A-Force allies for 40% of this character's max health, apply 2 regeneration for 1 turn, defense up for 2 turns, and immunity for 1 turn. And in war, this attack cannot be blocked or dodged. And the T4 on this is going to add 150% damage to the primary target, making that 550% damaged, plus the 50% per charged on this character. And apply Safeguard to self and all absolute A-Force allies. And that applying Safeguard to self and all absolute A-Force allies makes this an essential T4. Safeguard is going to mean that your abilities can't be flipped, and that is really important to the longevity of the team. Air superiority. This is, again, a dictionary worth of writing, but when this character is attacked, if this character has charged and does not have 2 or more exhausted, now that was added into the kit, that wasn't there originally. She's going to heal herself and all absolute A-Force allies for 10% of this character's max health. She's going to flip 2 bleeds and clear 2 negative effects and then lose 1 charged. Cool. On any turn and turn end, if this character has charged, gain taunt. So as long as she's got charge on her, she's going to gain taunt. While this character has charged, this character cannot gain trauma, heal block, disrupted, defense down, slow, or stun. So she basically becomes immune to everything while she has charged. So all the things that could stop her being a tank for the team, which is what her role is, doesn't happen. When this character loses charged, clear taunt from this character, clear 3 negative effects from self and all absolute A-Force allies, apply offense up, speed up, and 2 counter to self and all absolute A-Force allies. In war, on spawn, she's going to gain 5 charge to a maximum of 5, so it's going to take a little while for you to lose those charges, especially with Kahhori throwing charges on her as well. When this character or an absolute A-Force ally drops below 40% health, clear disrupted from that character, apply defense up, 2 evade, 2 deathproof, and safeguard. Brilliant. And while this character has charge, gain 25% damage reduction and 1000% resistance. Like I said, it's an SA. It is a very, very good passive and makes her what she is, which, like I said, is that tank of the team. And this is the first, I think, what I would call a proper tank. You know, a proper tank, not just like someone who has taunt. This is a tank that's like keeping the team not only alive, but also, you know, taking all the damage for the team. The T4 on this is going to, in war, on enemy death, apply safeguard and immunity to self and all absolute A-Force allies. I've put this down as a high value T4 for this one. This I do not believe is an essential T4 because it is just an in war bonus. And I know this is where this team is situated, but again, I am going to go over all my reasonings for this later on in the video in a bit of a frequently asked questions stroke overview of the infographics. She is a hero cosmic bio support, so not a protector but a support tank. Absolute A-Force. She also has the Kree tag. Now the ISO 8 choices for this character, at low stars I would recommend possibly going with Fortifier. This is just to try and make her last a little bit longer than what she would do with her sort of lower stats. However, when you get her up to about 5 stars, I think Healer is probably the best class you can put on Miss Marvel Classic. This is going to cause this effect where she's going to drop below 50%, then come back up above 50%, get some charged, retaunt, that whole... If ever you played against Gamma back in the days when they were shining, Hulk was a perfect example of this. The basic Hulk, he was someone who you would have Healer on as well to do this very same sort of bouncing trick. So she is another version of that. At a 3 yellow, 3 red, Carol is going to be the 3rd highest in health, the 5th highest in damage, and unfortunately, her damage stats is not great. Again, like a proper tank, you know, she's not really there to deal damage. She's there to keep the team alive. Armor, she's 3rd, as you would expect. Focus, she's 4th. Resist, she's 2nd. Again, she needs to resist so that she stays around to keep doing her job. And with a speed of 117, she is the 4th fastest member of the team, going just before Wasp. I really, really like Miss Marvel Classic. I'm probably not going to call for her. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. I really do like this absolute A-Force team, and I kicked myself because I didn't build A-Force before, but I do love the A-Force as a team. The final member of this is a member of the team who I have been looking forward to coming to Marvel Strike Force for a very long time. It is the Queen of the Inhumans, Black Bolt's wife, Blackagar Boltagon's wife. It is Medusa. Finally, she has turned up in Marvel Strike Force, and I am very happy about this. Medusa's basic split ends is going to attack the primary target for 120% piercing. It's going to repeat this attack once, so she's going to do that again. When forced to attack an ally, this character deals less damage to absolute A-Force characters. Now, this really does make you think that these guys are going to be quite useful in the Null boss fight for Battle World. The T4 on this is going to add an additional 40% piercing to the primary target. This is a very luxury T4 stroke, a T3, just upping that primary target damage to 160% piercing. Bob and Weave is her special. This is an ability she will start with. Attack the primary target for 450% piercing, plus gain 60% crit chance for this attack. If Black Bolt is an ally, I love this. The call out to Black Bolt. Come on! Or if this character has 3 or more absolute A-Force allies, this attack gains plus 40% crit damage for this attack. Characters killed by this attack cannot be revived. That's amazing. This attack ignores defense up and cannot be blocked or dodged. The T4 on this is going to add 150% piercing to the primary target and a 20% crit damage if Black Bolt is an ally, or if this character has 3 or more absolute A-Force allies. So that is going to change that to a 60% crit damage for the attack. That makes this attack absolutely insane, and because of that I've put it down as a nice to have T4, mostly because this isn't linked to war. This whole T4 is anywhere you are going to use Medusa, she will have this. And if later on down the line we have something where we're putting Medusa in with Black Bolt for any sort of reason and this is getting turned on straight away, oh my god, how cool is this going to be? Condition for battle is her ultimate. This ability, she's going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 300% piercing damage, gain plus 60% crit chance for this attack, plus 20% additional damage per positive and negative effect on the primary target. She is just a damage machine, isn't she? If Black Bolt is an ally, or if this character has 3 or more absolute A-Force allies, this attack gains 40% crit damage. You can already tell what ISO 8 choice I've done for this one. Characters killed by this attack cannot be revived. Oh, so good. So good. This is such a call-out team to Mercs for money, it's untrue. This attack ignores defense up and cannot be blocked or dodged. The T4 on this is going to add 100% piercing to the primary and secondary targets. It is going to add 20% crit damage, and if Black Bolt, it's going to add 20% crit damage if Black Bolt is an ally, or if this character has 3 or more absolute A-Force allies. Again, I've put this as a nice to have T4. Why have I put this as a nice to have T4? Because, again, it is not linked to war. Medusa has no abilities so far that are war-only abilities. That makes her a very, very good character. Inhumans Queen. Yes, she is the queen. Enemies cannot spawn with evade or death proof. Very nice. Very, very nice. In war, enemies cannot spawn with defense up or speed up. So with Kahhori's passive, they can't gain speed bar, and enemies cannot gain speed up with Medusa. Very, very good. Protector and blaster enemies cannot spawn with charged. Protector enemies, that's a direct call out to the likes of Black Knight. Protector enemies cannot spawn with safeguard. Beautiful. That's going to take the wonderful gladiator out of the mix as well. Lower damage for all enemies by 20%. And lower resistance for all enemies by 40%. That is insane. The T4 on this one, in war, reduce the enemy resistance by 80%. And in war, gain 10% speed for self and absolute A-Force allies. Again, this is a nice to have T4. It is in war only, but obviously, being that this is the only in war ability that she has, it is still a nice to have T4. So Medusa is a hero, cosmic, bio, brawler. She is the damage dealer of the team. She has the absolute A-Force tag, and of course she has the Inhumans tag. They could not put the Queen of Atalan in place without having the Inhumans tag on her. Now, you might have already guessed from all her kit, but the ISO 8 recommendation I have for her is Raider. She's already got extra crit chance. She's already got extra crit damage. Let's just pile in. Let's push on these crits even further, shall we? Now, at the 3 yellow, 3 red, Medusa is going to be a bit of a washout. I will say that she's going to be the worst member of the team, and that is why I have positioned her where I have on the infographic as well. So that is based, the infographic is based, or positioning the infographic is based on the team when we first get it unlocked. So in the early days, but that positioning will still remain logical going further forward. Health, she will be 5th highest, so you want to protect her. Damage, she's 4th highest. That actually changes when she becomes, when she gets to that 7 yellow, 7 red. She becomes one of the biggest damage dealers on the team. Armor, she's 5th. That doesn't really change when she gets bigger, so she is a glass cannon. Focus, she's 5th. Resist, she's 5th. But with a speed of 120, she is the 2nd fastest member of the A-Force team, or the absolute A-Force team, should I say. So here is the infographic FAQ, and I have kind of gone over it during this period, during the video, but I want to go over it in a bit more detail. So I give each of the abilities one of 4 categories. The first is an essential T4. Now, an essential T4 basically means that that is a T4 that makes that character work how they are supposed to work. So in the place of Kahhori, adding that extra 100% speed bar, that makes her work how she is supposed to work at her best. The next category is the high value T4. Now, that is reserved for anything that is non-damage based. So because damage based can go into the nice to have T4, that is not linked to a singular game mode. So as long as it is available in any game mode, that ability will become a high value T4. The next up is nice to have T4s. Now, these nice to have T4s, they are T4s that add a lot of value to the character and what that character does. However, it is either just pure damage, which obviously adds a lot of value to characters like Medusa, who have a lot of damage. You know, they are the main damage dealer of the team. Or they are locked to a mode. So, for example, Carol Danvers one where it is locked into war. Any of those abilities that are locked to the, I know it's the main game mode for the team, but anything that is locked to just one game mode, that becomes a nice to have T4. And then we have the final one, which is the T3 ability on there. Now, I used to put down luxury T4 because they could be that any of those could be T4'd. Anything that is that I've put down as T3, you could T4 if you want to, if you have the T4s available. But they're not going to add a significant amount to the team, or they're not going to do, you know, that you're not going to miss out from not having that on the team member. Now, an example of that is Wasp. I've heard some crazy damage coming out of Wasp for her special, especially if it's T4'd. I've even heard of her taking Odin out in one shot with that special. However, like I said, that is a luxury T4. Being able to take Odin out in one turn is a luxury. And is what I would call a luxury, and it is a luxury T4. So it doesn't come into the nice to have T4s, it doesn't come into a high value T4, and it doesn't come into an essential T4 for me. So that is why it is down as a T3 ability material, which could be classed as a luxury T4. Hopefully that helps you understand all the things with the infographics. If you do have any questions, please feel free to hit me up either here on YouTube or on the Jetson Squad Discord. I do like to speak to you all, and I do like to answer your questions. And so here we have it. This is the Absolute A-Force infographic. You will see this has just been updated today, and that is because I have made that change to Ironheart that I explained in the video. We've got our 3 newest members who we are going to take all of these to level 100. That's going to be my recommendation. The 3 newest members we will put gear tier 19 on. The 2 reworked, because of what they are, I think they only require gear tier 18 at present. Remember, you can get this available on the Jetson Squad Discord. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. It will also be available on the community tab of my YouTube channel, so check that out there if you want that. So some final thoughts on the Absolute A-Force. I think this is an amazing team. I am excited to build this team, especially considering that we have Medusa in the team. Been waiting for her for ages. I really have. I think I was probably one of the only ones that liked the Inhumans TV show as well. But yeah, anyway, enough of my poor taste in TV shows. Why don't you let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Absolute A-Force team? Are you excited for it? Are you not? Like I said, let me know down below. If you found this video helpful, please do consider giving it a like and maybe even share it with some of your Alliance mates. And until next time, everyone, stay positive.